Hey guys, I hope you are all having a great day. So, for today, I'm going to be doing the first of four, I guess you'd say they're character opinion slash analysis videos on the four Golden Girls. And I'm going to start off by talking about Blanche Devereaux. Blanche was played by Rue McClanahan, who is unfortunately no longer with us. It's so sad now to know that all four of those amazing women have passed away. I think Rue was amazing as Blanche. Honestly, I think they were all amazing in their roles. I know a lot of people say that Estelle Getty was the weak link in that cast. I wholeheartedly disagree. She was amazing. They were all amazing. That cast didn't have a weak link. Okay, it got a little intense there, sorry. But okay. When I used to talk about my favorite and least favorite characters of Golden Girls, I would always say that Blanche was easily my least favorite of the four. And that wasn't to say I hated her by any means. She had some fantastic moments and things about her that I really admire. But out of all of the girls, she got on my nerves the most. She could be really selfish, not that all the girls didn't have their moments of that. She could be vain, conceited, so shallow, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think she could be just as mean as Sophia, but got away with it a lot more than Sophia ever did. Still, having said all that, when I was digging deep into her character to get ready for this video, I realized something. Blanche has great character development. I would even go so far as to say that she arguably has the most personal growth of all the girls. Now, granted, a lot of that growth does take place on Golden Palace, which that's a video for another day, but we'll get there. Even if you just look at her time on Golden Girls, though, there's quite a bit to talk about, and honestly, it gave me a new perspective on Blanche and bumped her up one spot in my favorites list. So, that's good, right? But before we get into any of that, I do want to talk about Blanche's enjoyment of a lot of men. Now, I am so glad they took this angle with her character. She's iconic, and she's just so open and confident about what she enjoys. That's so great to see. It was great for the times, and I think it stands up great even today. I mean, come on, I don't know, we don't see enough of that on screen, in my opinion. And I know she got a lot of teasing from the other girls about it, but she didn't seem to care for the most part. God, in a lot of circumstances, she was proud of it, which, yes, you go, girl, you should be proud. But wrapped up in that was an issue that it bugged me. It came up every once in a while. And that was, it seemed sometimes that Blanche thought she was only valuable for her looks. And that just isn't true. Not that she's not beautiful, of course she is, everyone's beautiful. But there's so much more to Blanche than just that, and sometimes it seemed like she realized that, but sometimes, I don't know. And I know, she was supposed to be obsessed with her looks, that was part of her thing. And, they played these things up for comedy purposes. Still, though, every once in a while, I'll give a couple examples. The first one was in the end of The Curse. She's talking to her therapist, and her therapist asked a question, and it was something like, is your physical beauty the only attribute you have, or something like that? And Blanche answered with an emphatic yes. And that bugs me. If she really believes that, that's just so sad. And the episode conclusion, it dealt with her realizing she was still beautiful, and of course that's great and very important. But I don't think it really dealt with the other issue very much. At least that's how I took it. The other one I want to talk about was in season 4, in The Blind Date, when she's dating the blind man, John Quinn. she she almost sabotages the relationship. She tries to sabotage the relationship because she knows that John's not dating her for her looks, and that bothered her a lot. And it was so sad because it seemed like she honestly couldn't figure out why he was dating her if it wasn't for her looks. And they did talk it out at the end of the episode. I'll give the episode credit for that. They did discuss it, but it still wasn't enough for me. It still felt like it felt unresolved. I don't know. I just wish the show had addressed it a little bit more overall. Personally, I feel like I'm really overthinking this. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? If obviously, if anyone wants to, has any thoughts on anything I'm saying, please put it in the comments. I'm curious about whether I'm totally just spouting off a bunch of unpopular opinions here. Okay, before I get to the character development, there's one more thing I feel like I should go over. And it's sort of to do with Blanche's dating. She dated a lot of people throughout the show, and one of those people ended up being quite abusive. I'm talking about Rex Huntington in season 6. I believe it was The Bloom is Off the Rose. Now, I can't speak for, I don't have any experience on this topic. I've never been in that situation of being in an abusive relationship. But from what I know, it seems like the episode was handled well. It felt good. It felt like it was handled pretty delicately for, again, as much as you can in a 23-minute span on a sitcom. The whole thing about Blanche not recognizing the abuse when it was directed at her, but recognizing it when it was directed at her friend, it rang true to me. Again, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just giving my 2 cents. But yeah, I felt like things were handled pretty well in that episode. Again, if anyone else has a different opinion, please let me know, because, I'm just guessing here, really. Just felt like I should go over that, because it was, I'm glad the show covered that, because abusive relationships are a very real thing, unfortunately. Now to get into some of that great character development. There's 2 instances I want to point out. The first one has to do with Blanche and her kids. So, it was made pretty clear through the first part of the show that Blanche didn't have the best relationship with her kids. There was a few comments that sort of implied that she hadn't made that much of an effort when they were little, and it was more than implied that she didn't have a good relationship with them now that they were grown up. And that all really came to a head in season 2, and then there was the one where they were taking care of that little baby Emily. And Blanche and her had that really cute connection, and Blanche realized what kind of a parent she had been to her kids, and she realized that she wanted to change it. That episode it was such a sweet episode for Blanche. That specifically the conversation with Janet at the end, you were only hearing half the conversation, but you could totally picture what was going on the other end. And it was just it kind of made me want to cry almost, but it was also really heartwarming. Just, Janet at first refusing Blanche's olive branch and then eventually agreeing to a visit. And the episode just ended on this really, I don't know, hopeful note. And it was great. And I loved it so much. And even better, it kind of seemed like the writers might have remembered that this happened and that this was a thing for Blanche, because there were a few times later on in the series where she was spending time with her children or grandchildren, and it seemed like she was putting in more of an effort. Like in season 5 and 6, when her daughter Rebecca really wanted Blanche to be involved with her and her baby girl Aurora, that gave me the impression, at least, that Blanche had been, putting in more of an effort to be a better parent. And then in season 7, when Janet's daughter Melissa was staying with Blanche was clearly making an effort to make that girl have a good time. She failed miserably at first, but she really was trying, and it was sweet to see her genuinely trying. But yeah, it was just maybe the writers didn't remember and it was just coincidence, but I like to think they did because, as we all know, continuity was not this show's strong suit. The other great character development is a little less cut and dry to talk about, I feel like. And it was Blanche's relationship with Clayton. The reason I say it's a little less cut and dry to talk about is because those episodes, the second one specifically, very hard for me personally to watch. Now, I know times were different. Okay, homosexuality was, the representation on shows was, I believe, quite small. And the Golden Girls brought it up multiple times, which was nice for the times, for sure. And I think they tried to handle it pretty sensitively, and I think they did for the most part. It was just, I think they had a few missteps, but for the most part, the problem, I think, wasn't really that the show was handling it poorly as much as Blanche was supposed to be handling it poorly, if that makes any sense. In the first episode, Scared Straight, when Clayton first comes out as homosexual, it wasn't that bad. Blanche had a couple cringy moments, but overall, I feel like the episode was handled pretty well. Blanche sort of accepted her brother, but kinda didn't, which I think worked because then in the next episode, where Clayton shows up, Sisters of the Bride, when he's engaged to, oh no, I can't think of his name. Oh, was it Doug? I want to say it was Doug. Sorry. Please, someone tell me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. Either way, when Clayton was engaged, Blanche was awful. Blanche was blatantly homophobic, in my opinion. It was just really hard for me to watch. Yes, she turned around at the end of the episode, and that's why I say it's good development, because she definitely became a lot more open-minded about things. Still, though, it is an episode that I do find those parts with Blanche somewhat hard to watch. Again, I'm not knocking the episode, I'm just saying it's personally hard for me to watch it. But yeah, no, I loved the end. I love Blanche realizing that she, that she needed to and wanted to come around to support her brother, and that she was the one in the wrong, not Clayton. So that was really, really good. I also do think it was somewhat in character of Blanche to be like that. She was never, I think, shown to be the most progressive of the women. She was just, I think a lot of it was to do with her family background. Now, I don't really want to get into this too much, but, it was pretty clear from what we heard about her family that they were pretty intolerant, to say the least. I'm not necessarily saying that they were homophobic, but I could definitely see that. I'm not trying to make generalizations here. I'm really not. All I'm saying is that I understand a little bit why Blanche might have reacted the way she did. And again, I'm glad that she was able to move forward and away from that. And I hope that her and Clayton had a great relationship going forward, because I don't think we ever saw or heard about him again. Now, we couldn't have a Blanche Devereaux video without talking about her relationship with George. George. Would have loved to see him in a flashback. We didn't, though, did we? I'm pretty sure we didn't. I'm pretty sure the only time we saw him was in that dream sequence, and okay, hear me out on this one. I know that's an episode a lot of people love, and I'm great. I am so glad that people enjoy that episode. I couldn't get into it, though. Listen, I can't speak for anyone else, but my dreams are weird. I don't act like I normally act in my dreams. The people around me don't act like they usually act. My dreams are just freaking strange. So, going from that, I just couldn't I couldn't get into a storyline that I knew was a dream. I might have enjoyed it a little more had I not gone into it knowing that it was a dream, but I did because I love to look up spoilers. So maybe that's my fault. Either way, though, I did find it interesting because, like, their relationship interesting because Blanche talked a lot of good about George and their relationship. However, they both had affairs. Well, George for sure had an affair with David's mother. Blanche maybe had an affair. I know she told that story about the guy she met while George was off at war, I think it was. You know, the guy who was an excellent lover. But I don't know, I question that. I question it a lot because, listen, I feel like Blanche liked to go for the shock value in her stories, even if that meant stretching or breaking the truth. I don't know, I feel like that's definitely debatable, but in my opinion, that's just how I took it, so I kind of always took her stories with a bit of a grain of salt. Either way, though, Blanche might have had an affair, George for sure had an affair, and Blanche did not know about this affair until after George died. So I'm interested, like, was their relationship as happy as Blanche thought it was? Was the thing with David's mother just a mistake on George's part that he didn't tell Blanche about because their relationship really mattered to him and he didn't want that to come between them? Was Blanche sort of deluding herself about their relationship? Or was the relationship different to George? I just have so many questions and I'm just so curious. I guess I'll never know, but that's okay. I will say, the episode with David being George's son, not David Blanche's grandson, was a great episode. I loved seeing Blanche's emotions on that one because, I mean, like, it must be a pretty big blow to find out that your husband, who has passed away, was cheating, or, well, had cheated on you and had a son that he never told you about. That'd be hard for anyone to deal with, but it was just interesting to see her just run through those emotions and, eventually it was just, the conclusion of that just felt realistic and honestly, Blanche took it better than I'm sure a lot of people would because, I mean, again, that's not an easy thing to hear. Now, I haven't talked about this yet, but I want to talk about Blanche's relationship with the other girls. So, okay, first of all, I feel like her and Dorothy were the closest friends in the group. Not in the group, but, like, I feel like that was Blanche's closest friend in the group, is what I meant to say. I don't know, I just feel like they had the best connection. I know Blanche and Rose were paired together for a lot of storylines, and I definitely feel like they had a good friendship, but I didn't feel like their friendship truly got deep until Golden Palace, which, again, I'll talk about that in my Golden Palace video. But I will just say again, their friendship definitely felt like it really expanded on there, whereas Golden Girls, they were close, but I never really felt it like I did with Blanche and Dorothy. As for Blanche and Sophia, I actually think out of the whole group, that was the weakest link. I don't know. I know it said they were close, but I never really saw it much. Like, they worked together, in their scenes. It wasn't like it felt awkward or anything. I don't know, I never really saw their connection like I saw with everyone else. Just, again, my 2 cents on the thing. Okay, so now, to finish off this video, I do want to talk about some great Blanche moments and just things I really liked about her. So, first of all, something I really loved about Blanche was she could be, like, so forgiving. Now, you could argue that all the girls were because they could be awful to each other and, the episodes had to end fast because they were only, like, 24 minutes. So, they had to resolve things. But Blanche specifically, there were a few times when the others were awful to her. The one time that comes to mind is when she didn't sleep with that man, what was his name? Gil Kessler? When he said she had slept with him. The girls, now, I guess I can sort of see why they didn't believe her. Now, her stories tended to go the other way, if you know what I mean. But again, like I said before, I could definitely see Blanche stretching the truth a lot. Still, though, I can see why they might doubt her. However, they were more than just doubting her. They were awful. Like, they were mean. It was not easy to watch. And then at the end, Blanche forgave them fast, way faster than I would have. Not only did she forgive them, but she kind of, it felt like she almost sort of took some of the blame onto herself. And I'm like, no, girl, you don't need to do that. Oh, I don't know. Those girls got off way too easy in that episode, in my opinion. The other time was with Elliot Clayton when Dorothy didn't believe Blanche about him having made a pass at her. I don't know. That one, I can't really see why Dorothy thought she was lying, only because Blanche she had such a hard time telling her. Like, when Blanche lies, she's usually super confident about it. I don't know, that one was, I felt really, really bad for Blanche in that one, and again, I feel like she came around very, very fast, considering. Speaking of Blanche's sweet side, I don't know why, but I really loved the scene where Blanche decided to give the girls shares in the house. I don't know why. Okay, maybe it's because I had a soft spot for that episode in general, but that scene just got to me. I don't know. Like, I guess because it was a big deal for her, and I get that. Like, having somebody rent from you, even if they are your best friends, is a big difference from having someone co-own your house. And to Blanche, you could see that was a big deal, and it was a big deal for her to let them in like that. So I really liked that scene. Now, to finish off on a more serious note, but it is a good Blanche moment, I want to talk about something Blanche did that was really great. And this is season 1, episode 20, Adult Education. This is the one where Blanche was sexually harassed by her professor. They did this again later on in the series with Rose. It was different. And I thought it was actually handled a lot worse. I thought they went too much on the comedy side. Ooh, especially considering what was going on in that episode. Ooh, I don't know. Too much. It didn't feel as well handled to me. But this one was handled very well, in my opinion. Blanche, talking to the dean and him not taking her seriously enough, which, that's terrible. And just the way she stood up to him and told him what was what and stood up for her rights was amazing. I thought that was very important, and I wish we'd seen more of that confidence standing up for herself, Blanche. I feel like that was, I don't know, I feel like after season 1, we didn't really see so much of that. Not that I want her to get in a position where she was sexually harassed again, obviously, but in general, I feel like we didn't see that sort of amazing self-confidence, apart from, like, how confident she was in her looks, which again, that's great, but I don't know, that episode just had this really confident, self-assured attitude to Blanche that I just feel like we didn't see so much after that. But again, that was a great episode. It felt, I'm glad they addressed it. It was important. And I think, again, I've never been in that position. I think they addressed it well. Maybe I'm wrong. Just the way it seemed to me. And that concludes the Blanche video. Please, guys, tell me what you think. Am I crazy? I could be. I know I have a lot of opinions. But hey, on the bright side, making this video, again, like I said earlier, it made Blanche not my least favorite character. She's just my second least favorite character. My least favorite character is Rose, in case anyone's wondering. And incidentally, that's who we're going to be talking about in the next video, which hopefully I'll have up. I'm hoping to have it done sometime this week. We'll see how it goes, though, because I have a lot to say about Rose. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.